When you first pull onto the campus of the Stewart Indian School, it's beautiful. You can feel the history. At one point, it was a bustling campus filled with students and activities. Yet, there's more to this campus, this school. While it represents a place of personal growth and learning, it also has another side, a darker side, one of control, cultural suppression, and abuse. But instead of hiding the past, the Stewart Indian School is a cultural center and museum embracing its history. This is a place we all need to learn from and recognize. I, for one, wanted to know more. I met with Stacy Montooth, the executive director of the Nevada Indian Commission. She's a voice for the Native American people with a strong grasp of history and culture.
The school was built and sort of forcefully.
Right.
Was it just due to a lack of respect of the culture, or did they have other plans, other ideas for building a school like this?
Based on how the United States developed, my ancestors here in the Great Basin, they retained their traditional lifestyles well into the 1800s, and that was completely different than our relatives on the eastern side of the country, right? You probably learned in grade school about 1492 and Plymouth Rock.
That's right.
So Nevada actually didn't become a state until 1864. So my relatives continued to live seasonally. They followed the food. They were so in tune with the environment. They didn't stay in one place. So by the time that the federal government decided we're going to implement boarding schools, they'd already tried 4 or 5 different policies, including the Indian Wars, including isolation, including annihilation. So what happened was the leadership in Washington, D.C. really felt that if they collected our young people and taught them what the United States government called a solid quality education, reading, writing, and arithmetic, and also taught them trades, that my ancestors would become mainstream, that they would lose their cultural identity and become patriotic Americans.
You know, it's interesting, not only did they do that, but they also, I guess, forbade them from speaking their language, in totally just draining the culture out of it. It sounds kind of brutal.
Brutal is an understatement. You know, in 2021, we would call what happened to my relatives, my 94-year-old grandmother, we'd call it kidnapping. She was forcefully taken from her family with the sanction of the federal government, brought to this campus, and the school was operated on a military model. The man appointed by the federal government, his name was Captain James Pratt, he had a military background, and Stewart Indian School, as well as all the boarding schools in the nation, were based on a military model. We know that the students that attended Stewart, they endured boot camp. Their hair was cut, which is an extremely traumatic experience for our relatives. They were forbidden to speak their native languages. They were made to wear uniforms. My 95-year-old grandmother was brought to this campus at the age of 4. The creed, the motto of the authorities who operated this school was, "Kill the Indian, save the man." Obviously, that didn't happen. I have a responsibility in my professional life to do almost exactly the opposite of what the federal government tried to do to our people just 130 years ago.
Not long.
Well, for Native Americans, yeah, that was 3 generations ago. So I've been appointed by the governor of the state of Nevada to help improve the quality of life for all our Native Americans in this area. I get a kick out of coming to work every day and looking out my window and seeing the dormitories where my grandma grew up, where the federal government was trying to eliminate my culture. I, again, have an assignment to do a job that 130 years ago, the federal government was completely against.
Stacy has so much knowledge to share. She can make an uncomfortable conversation positive and a teachable moment. I could have spent the whole day with Stacy, but I was meeting up with Dale and Ike, both alumni of the school. They took me on a tour and shared their memories. While attending the Stewart Indian School, both Dale and Ike learned from others about their traditions and culture. Here, Dale also learned how to bead. She was taught this by a Washoe woman who worked at the school. Dale's beadworking is amazing. You can see it on display in the museum gift shop. Ike participated in sports and developed a strong sense of self-worth. They both understand the bad, but they believe more good can happen here.
This campus is beautiful. It's full of stories, but it's empty. What would you like to see for the future of this place?
I'd like for it to go back to a school so kids could learn more of their culture and just learn a lot of things here, even to be more independent when they get out on their own. That's a big thing. And as to go back to where the abuse and everything, I talk to elders to this day, and they still they start crying when they talk about what happened here with them.
What would you like to see happen here?
Yeah, I would like to see it go back, because it was, I liked it. I liked Stewart Indian School.
This is a complicated history, but
I just wish it would be, instead of them taking it away, to give it back, you know, for them to learn the language and learn everything about their culture and who they are, you know, be proud of themselves and be proud of the school. That way, good stories are going to be coming out.
yeah, I think all the stories should come out, especially the good ones.
Yeah.
You guys are phenomenal. I love hanging with you guys and talking all day. I could do this all day.
History can be ugly, and if we don't recognize it and learn from it, we're bound to repeat it. The Stewart Indian School Cultural Center and Museum is here to make sure we not only learn about the past, we embrace the cultures it tried to suppress. The Stewart Indian School is truly a place of higher learning.